As a marketing leader, you know the story. You spend millions of dollars driving traffic to your company's website, but the results just aren't what you hoped. On top of that, 81% of marketing leaders say website ownership is a challenge. There's a better, faster way with Webflow. Webflow's visual-first platform gives your marketing team the freedom and flexibility to truly own your website. From launching a new web experience to optimizing for performance, Webflow gives you the tools to drive business growth fast. Unlock your website's full potential today at webflow.com.
From pizza to burgers to Cuba Libres, Pepsi has been zeroing in on moments that amplify the brand's connection to food, a practice helping consumers associate such connections in their minds and ultimately uniting food and Pepsi in their grocery baskets. The campaign is called Better with Pepsi, and we'll be discussing it today with Jenny Danzi, Senior Director at Pepsi, on the Marketer's Brief podcast, our weekly discussion of marketing news and trends that have the industry buzzing. The latest Better with Pepsi campaign is all about grilling, with contributions from celebrity chefs Bobby Flay and Aaron Sanchez, data from a Harris poll suggesting growing interest in cooking out, and two limited-time Pepsi flavors, peach and lime, joining the brand's summer lineup. Danzi discusses the history of Better with Pepsi, the balance of immediate payoffs and long-term benefits, and the brand's quest to achieve preferred consideration in situations where a cola is the right choice. We'll also discuss Pepsi's redesign, the brand's increasing focus on health, and why zero sugar has become the face of Pepsi. I'm John Springer, senior reporter at Ad Age, and this is the Marketer's Brief podcast. Jenny Danzi, welcome to the Marketer's Brief.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad you're here. And I guess we can start, if you can talk a little bit about your career, how you came to be a senior director at Pepsi Trademark.
Yes. So I currently look after the Pepsi brand team. I've been at PepsiCo for 15 years. And in that time, the job has taken me from Bentonville to Shanghai, from a pit at the NASCAR race to the Super Bowl. I've learned how to do a pour over with our partners at Starbucks, and I've learned how to stack a cold case at a Wawa. So it's been a really fun ride. I started as a marketing analyst in innovation, and since then I've had roles on our Mountain Dew brand team, on our Walmart account, in corporate strategy, in new brand development, and this is currently my second tour on brand Pepsi. And even more importantly than that, I'm here because I'm the grill master in my family, and so we're excited to talk about summer grilling on Pepsi.
Yeah. Can you explain your role at brand Pepsi today? What exactly you're doing there?
Yes. So I have the privilege and the pressure of working on the name on the door. There's a team of about 10 of us on the Pepsi brand team, and just about everything a consumer sees under Pepsi comes through us. So we get to have a lot of fun diving deep in consumer trends. We spend a lot of time on social media and at cultural events. And then we make sure that the creativity we're cooking up serves the business and that we're managing that effectively and making sure to drive Pepsi through all of our sales channels.
Cool. So the Better with Pepsi campaign this summer is all about grilling, as you mentioned. But before we get into the specifics of that, I wonder if you can kind of take a step back and look at the Better with Pepsi concept overall. What is it? How long has it been going on? And what is it meant to do for the brand?
That's right, John. So you've seen a lot of our work on this over the years. Better with Pepsi launched in 2021 when Pepsi identified that 60% of Americans would prefer to have their hamburgers with a Pepsi. And unfortunately, at a lot of burger chains, you can't get a Pepsi today. So Better with Pepsi launched with a bang, celebrating that you should grab your Big Mac with a Pepsi. Since then, we've followed up with lots of other installments. Our second year was on pizza. We know that 90% of Americans prefer their pizza with Pepsi. So we really went wild and partnered with the Culinary Institute of America to infuse pepperoni with Pepsi. So we had Pepsi-roni on pizza in 2022. Last year, we celebrated that hot dogs are better with Pepsi. This time we infused cola into a condiment specifically designed to bring out the smoky flavors of a hot dog. And we partnered with Joey Chestnut, the famous competitive eater, for that one. So we've had a good run on Better with Pepsi, and we think there's a lot more juice in that squeeze. And so this year we're celebrating summer grilling, which we know Americans are really excited to get their grills out this summer. There are lots of foods that you can grill, and all of them taste even better with Pepsi.
Okay. So beverage companies associating their products with food, it's a sort of a an old practice and it works well for them. Is that part of Pepsi's thinking?
It is. You have to eat, and we think you should enjoy it. And we know that Pepsi makes your food taste better. So food is also such an emotional touch point, as is Pepsi, right? These are things that people literally consume. And we know that cola is unique in that it really does make food taste better. And Pepsi is uniquely sweet, uniquely has citrus notes. So we see a lot of runway in celebrating food and that it tastes better with Pepsi.
Great, great. So it's a little bit about getting Pepsi into the basket along with the foods that you would buy at the store. What are the other business cases for the platform?
You nailed it, getting it in the basket with food. So, at my local Ralph's, we have Pepsi mini cans next to the rotisserie chicken. We are celebrating at food service. As you know, we just are welcoming Subway restaurants into the Pepsi family in 2025. We have an Instacart partnership going this summer around Summer with Grilling. So it really is about celebrating Pepsi with food at all channels.
Yeah, yeah. Pepsi with Subway is interesting. That's the first move I think we've seen from a soft drink brand in making headway in restaurants for a while.
We are very proud of that win and very excited to celebrate Subway next year.
Okay. So to what extent has Better with Pepsi worked? And how do you measure the results of something like this?
We look at success really holistically. So it's measures of brand equity and then, of course, sales. We've seen strong sales growth on this summer grilling campaign. It's still early days. We're still ahead of Memorial Day weekend, which is a massive soda holiday, but we're seeing some strong uptick in interest. And then the other is brand equity, because when you are stewarding a brand that is 125 years old, you have a real responsibility to make sure that you are building it for the next generation. And we are seeing some of our internal equity measures move, particularly on pairing Pepsi and food. So we feel great about that momentum, and we're going to continue to build on it.
And when I've spoken to Todd Kaplan with this, chief marketing officer, he's talked about situational salience. Can you explain?
That's right. It's situational salience. We're going to get real marketing nerdy here. I like it. So when you think of having a hamburger, we want you to think of having a Pepsi. And so we've achieved situational salience on things like pizza. And a lot of that is through our national partner, that sell pizza, and that we've had deep partnerships there for decades. What we are continuing to move the needle on is every meal. So if you're having a sad desk salad, we think that would also taste better with Pepsi. Or if you are putting a rotisserie chicken on the table for your family for dinner, Pepsi will make sure that they'll like it. And so that's what we're working on when we talk about situational salience, is in those moments where cola is absolutely the right choice, how do we make sure that it's Pepsi that you're choosing?
Okay. And so there's been several iterations of this. What have you learned from the ones that have been successful from those that have been less successful?
So we do, again, look at success holistically from both brand equity, brand buzz, and from sales. The ones that have worked, I think, are built on what Pepsi can uniquely bring to the world or create in culture, but also on human empathy and understanding what people are looking for in those moments. So I think hot dogs worked well because it was a little controversial to develop a condiment for a hot dog. There's a lot of regional differences in what people want on their dog or what they'll allow on that. We had a celebrity spokesperson in Joey Chestnut who absolutely brought the idea to life, but people loved it from Pepsi. So it felt true to something that they were already enjoying in hot dogs all summer, and they liked hearing it from Pepsi. And that builds success in both a business situational salience way and in a popular culture buzz perspective.
Gotcha. Okay. And can you discuss Pepsi's general approach to creativity in this program? You've talked about some of the ways you've gone about this already, but you've done some kind of unique things in the past with this program.
We have had a lot of fun on this. Working on Pepsi, you get to be creative every day. A lot of these ideas do just come from brainstorms with the group sitting around and talking about what foods they would pair with Pepsi. I think what's important for us is, again, that creativity is serving a strategic plank for us. Pepsi and food is so critically important, but the only way to break through in this space is by being really wildly creative. So we've had a lot of fun with our two celebrity partners this summer. We have Bobby Flay, who is the ultimate grill master, and then Aaron Sanchez. We developed a show called Talking Sabor with him. And we think that creativity helps us break through and reach actual humans who care about the food that they are buying and eating. And it does it in a way that feeds the whole flywheel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah, you talked a little bit about Bobby Flay and Aaron Sanchez. They are sort of the right figures for this campaign.
They are. They both have millions of followers online. When you think grill master, you absolutely think Bobby Flay. I know I have several of his cookbooks. And he was really fun to work with. I think he's a great partner. He really loves grilling. You can see in our Grills Night Out spots that he was having a lot of fun. And we hope that that encourages Americans to have fun when they're grilling this summer too. And then Aaron Sanchez is a great example of how we are approaching Hispanic marketing at PepsiCo. So we have both inclusive campaigns and dedicated campaigns. And Aaron Sanchez is somebody with really broad appeal. And we love that the Talking Sabor partnership with Hulu really gets into celebrating all types of Latin cuisine and how amazing those are and how well they all pair with a Pepsi.
Yeah, we saw Bobby shaking his hips as he is part of those ads.
He really gets his groove on. I think the flip and shake might be the new bend and snap in 2024.
No doubt. So you, along with the grilling promotion, you've introduced 2 limited time flavors, Pepsi Lime and Pepsi Peach. Can you talk a little bit about that as part of this program?
Yes. So we have the best product developers in the world. And when we gave them the challenge of developing flavors that would pair with grilled food, they took it really seriously. So even in our internal sampling, we always had to try them with a burger. What we landed on was Pepsi Lime and Pepsi Peach. We think those flavors are probably already at a lot of grilling events. I know grilling a peach for dessert is one of my grill master tips. And they're sweet and they enhance the smoky and savory flavors in your grilled food. So we developed these alongside Bobby Flay. They're really fun, only available for a limited time, and we're already seeing some great traction in the marketplace.
Okay. Would you consider these sort of innovation at Pepsi?
We do. I think they're innovative.
Okay, good. So what's next for Better with Pepsi?
We are working on a whole bunch of more fun things for Better with Pepsi. Right now, we're still rolling out our 2024 Girls Night Out campaign. So we think that Girls Night Out could really be something that enters the cultural lexicon this summer. We know 80% of Americans prefer outdoor barbecues to eating out at a restaurant. 9 out of 10 are really excited about getting out their grill this summer. And I think as things get tough, more people plan to grill than last year because it can be a better way to bring friends and family together than paying to eat at a restaurant. So we think there's going to be a lot of fun grilling this summer. And if you're on the fence about whether you should go outside and do the grill or if you just do your standard in the kitchen cooking, we want Pepsi to encourage you to get your grill out. So that's why we have Girls Night Out running all summer long.
Okay, you mentioned you were the grill master of your family. What's your specialty?
I mean, these grilled peaches are really something, but I like to stick with a standard cheeseburger.
Okay. We're talking with Jenny Danzi, Senior Director of Pepsi. We'll be right back after this.
Let's be real for a sec. We all know that your website shouldn't be a static asset. It should be dynamic and drive conversions. That's marketing 101. But 54% of marketing leaders say web updates take too long. That's over half of you listening right now. That's where Webflow comes in. Their visual-first platform allows you to build, launch, and optimize web experiences fast. That means you can set ambitious goals and your site can rise to the challenge. Learn why teams like Dropbox and Orange Theory trust Webflow with their business growth today at webflow.com.
Before we continue, I want to remind our listeners about Ad Age's Business of Brands event set for September 18th and 19th in Chicago. Hear from marketing leaders at United Airlines, Molson Coors, State Farm, and more. Learn more and buy tickets at adage.com/business of brands. We're with Jenny Danzi, Senior Director of Pepsi. And Jenny, how have functional brands like Poppi affected Pepsi? They've generated a lot of attention online. But I wonder if you can talk a little bit about sort of how Pepsi is looking at brands like this.
Part of the great part of working at PepsiCo is that we do have an advantaged portfolio of beverages. So we have a wide range of options, whether consumers are looking for health or function or taste first. We have it all. All of our products taste delicious. Within cola, we really remain focused on taste because we know that's what consumers are looking for. And again, taste with food because we know that Pepsi makes the food taste better. We are, of course, always curious about consumer trends and following them closely. One example of us following that is on Pepsi Zero Sugar. We launched a new formula at the beginning of 2023. That new recipe is incredible. It tastes phenomenal. Our internal data shows that it's preferred within the zero category. And so we've done a lot of celebrating that and making sure that people try that. We're also focused on accelerating our wild cherry Zero Sugar Pepsi, which is extra delicious, extra indulgent. And so for consumers looking for flavor within the soda space, we think we've got some strong offerings.
Yeah, flavor is a thing, right? I mean, you see it across everywhere from whiskeys to soft drinks. I wonder sort of what's going on with the consumer that has made that such a popular category right now.
Flavor is part of what makes eating and drinking fun, right? Sometimes you just want the status quo, but sometimes you want to try something a little bit new. I think this is also tied up in the value conversation we're seeing, that if you're going to buy something or try something or consume something, it needs to be worth it. And some of these new flavors can make it a little bit more worth it, that it's just that much more exciting or that much more delicious or that much more indulgent. And we do think some of that is what's behind the growth in our wild cherry subline.
Yeah, we talked about those trends in wild cherry. It was also a sort of a demographic predilection for it as well, right? Was it millennial women we talked
That's
about?
right. Millennial females in particular really love our wild cherry. And I think that's the taste. It is delicious, but the can is also beautiful. If you haven't seen our new wild cherry designs, you've got to get to a store and find it.
Okay. What other meaningful trends are you examining for Pepsi?
We spend a lot of time on TikTok, a lot of time on social media. That has led to things like Helk building on the dirty soda trend. Right now, we are really focused on wellness and zero calorie options. And so we'll do a lot more to continue to accelerate our zero sugar business and continuing to hero zero sugar offerings throughout the portfolio.
Okay. How has the zero sugar product performed for you? I know you have big ambitions for it.
We have huge ambitions for it, and I think it's meeting those. It's been growing double digits for years now. So we'll continue to have some fun with that going forward.
Okay. What are the plan? Any marketing plans or anything you can share with us in terms of sort of what is planned for that brand?
Not quite yet, but I'd love to come back, John.
I won't come back on that one. So, what have you found to be the most challenging thing day in and day out as a Pepsi marketer?
The most challenging part of Pepsi is also really fun, which is that everyone in America has an opinion on Pepsi. So I love when I go to a party and I say I get to work on the Pepsi brand, and everyone wants to tell me what their favorite ad is, what ad we should launch, what flavor we should launch, what flavor they miss. So I think it is the listening to those opinions and figuring out which ones to build from.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you about the big rebrand, but I'm wondering, what has that meant at store shelves and to the consumers in general?
So the rebrand we are really proud of. It just won a big Ad Age award, so we're thrilled to see that being recognized in the industry. It's also being recognized by consumers. I think my favorite part of the Pepsi rebrand is the story of how it was developed. That they went to consumers and said, "Hey, can you draw a Pepsi logo?" And what people drew is the logo that you see on our cans today. So it builds on these memory structures. It's a look back at our 125 years of equity, but it's so incredibly bold. It's beautiful. It works so well on digital platforms. It really is preparing us for the next era of Pepsi too. So we've seen strong awareness, lots of love for it. We feel really good about continuing to drive that new look and feel.
Okay. I mean, one of the comments I got when we were writing about it was, this notion that a big giant brand like Pepsi, when they change the logo, they're really kind of opening themselves up to criticism. And did you feel that as you were sort of contemplating things?
I think on a brand like Pepsi, where everybody has an opinion, there is always a risk when you launch something new. This one we felt really strongly was going to resonate, and we saw that it did. And, you're not having fun if you're not taking a little bit of a risk. So I think this one was, again, in service of the business, one that we knew was the right investment to make at this time. And it has been. It's been a big step into the future for us.
Yeah. Has it made a difference on the for the business yet that you can tell?
We are continuing to see acceleration on the zero sugar platform. I was just talking with Rob, my head of design, about this. Part of what the rebrand did was put zero sugar front and center. So our Pepsi zero sugar can is now the face of Pepsi. And that globe makes sure that it halos back to the master brand. But we think that investment is working.
Okay, great. So I'll get time for one more. I like to ask this question. Any brands, any campaigns out there that you look at that you take some inspiration from or have learned from recently?
I have two, if that's okay.
Yep.
So the first is Heinz. I think they are having so much fun on ketchup. What we are admiring about that is both the creativity. So many of those drops that they're doing are really fun and really inspired, and the discipline that they're continuing to tell the same story about why you need Heinz ketchup. The second, closer to home, my sister and PepsiCo alum, Stephanie Danzi, leads marketing at Tinder. And I will say her campaigns, which are very Gen Z focused, trying to bring Tinder to a new generation. I get so many text messages from the Gen Z people on my team that they saw the ads on the subway and they resonated. So I love that she is leading with empathy there, listening to the consumer and doing some really great brand work built on that.
That's great. So you're a family of marketers. Are your parents or other siblings involved in the business
We
as
have
well?
a lot of questions for our parents on how that happened, but yes, we like to talk shop over dinner.
Well, that's great. Jenny, thanks so much for joining us. Come back anytime.
Thank you, John. This was fun.
That was Jenny Danzi, Senior Director at Pepsi. And I'm John Springer, Senior Reporter at Ad Age. I'd like to thank our producer, Lauren Chiardio, and remind you that you can subscribe to The Marketer's Brief wherever you get podcasts. That's all we have for this week. We'll see you next time.
Marketer's Brief listeners get $40 off an adage.com subscription. Sharpen your marketing edge and visit adage.com/brief for your discount.